The following podcast is a TJ DeSantis production. Comments, questions, and inquiries can be sent to DeSantisProd@gmail.com.
Are you talking shift? We are. It's time for the We're Talking Shift podcast. Now. Here to talk shift are your hosts, Loree Bischoff and Candace Parisi.
We're Talking Shift.
Hello, I'm Loree Bischoff. Welcome to We're Talking Shift. This is the podcast where we talk shift because we believe the antidote to feeling stuck is found by shifting our thinking and learning to listen to our gut, our inner voice, your intuition, whatever you want to call it. So today, I'm going to be talking about going rogue with special guest Debrah Miceli, a.k.a. Madusa, and WWE Hall of Famer Alundra Blayze. Yes, this woman goes by many names. I call her Deb. Welcome to We're Talking Shift, Debrah, Madusa, Alundra, Wolf Whisperer, Stands with a Fist, I don't know, Cake Lover. You go by a lot of names. Carrot Cake Lover.
Yes.
based on a recent conversation.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. It is an honor to be here with you on your podcast, being a fellow podcaster myself. And I think it's wonderful what you're doing. I've been watching you grow through the years and years of from the time you began your life coaching through all your health and nutrition, and now you're doing your Facebook live cooking. I just giggle and I'm like, I'm living vicariously through her, watching her cook for sure. And yeah, that takes a lot of kahunas there. And I'm thinking, well, I'm a baker and I'm a funny ass baker. And I'm thinking she's sitting here. By the way, everybody, I asked Loree to make a carrot cake. I've been bugging her to make a damn carrot cake for so long. She finally did it.
Yes.
She said it was out of her realm, but
yeah,
she did a great job. But I'm a baker.
So yeah, because that baking is usually, it's not really in my wheelhouse. I'm not a baker. I'm not. I mean, like Christmas, maybe some Christmas cookies, that kind of thing. But I'm not a baker. Other than that, I have a particular super healthy version of bread, which isn't really bread because it has no white flour in it, but it's called Power Bread, and so it's like it's really healthy and dense, and I'll make that about a couple times a month, and that's really good. But other than that, I don't bake sweets and treats. So the carrot cake was a challenge, and guess what I had, since I just did that yesterday? Guess what I had for my brunch today?
What?
I had the flippin' carrot cake with my.
Did you really? Oh, man,
yes, just a few bites.
I thought for sure you're going to say you had it for breakfast, because sometimes when I make pizza, I'll eat that for breakfast the next day.
Yeah, that's good too. But I'm not a breakfast eater. I don't know about you, but I don't like to eat breakfast. My first sort of meal, I guess, if you will, of the day doesn't usually happen until a good 3 or 4 hours after I get up. And then I'll have usually, except on the weekend, I'll typically then have a protein smoothie. And then I don't eat again I'm a real light eater during the day. I don't like to eat a lot of food. It just.
Oh my gosh. So do you eat heavy, like late at night?
So I like to eat, my favorite meal of the day is dinner. And that's when I like to just really eat a nice big meal. That's when I transition into evening, and I don't feel like I need my brain to be at 100% maximum power in the evening, because I'm winding down and transitioning before bed. And I find that eating a lot during the day it has the opposite effect for me. It just slows me down. So I just don't do it. I just like to be moving and have a great energy stream all day. So I start out with my coffee. Nobody messes with the morning coffee, right? In fact, I'm sipping some coffee right now. A fat coffee. I like to call it fat coffee. It's like a bullet.
Fat? What?
Yeah.
Fat?
Fat. It's full of good fat. So
coffee?
Yes, ma'am. Oh, where have you been? You have not been.
Wait a minute. Do you put oil in it and butter and
yes, ma'am. Yeah, just coconut oil. Some people use MCT, which is a component in coconut oil. I just get the coconut oil and grass-fed butter, and then that goes into some really good quality strong coffee. Blend it up, and I am good to go for hours. It's awesome.
You mean like good to go, like you actually, it helps you to go? Or it's just a good booster?
I'm talking like brain fuel go. So between, I guess that, I don't even want to talk about that right now, but the, just the energy and clear thinking and, just.
Well, that's a part of it though, too. I mean, yeah, and I'm going to relate to that. So,
okay.
You sound like my hubby. He likes his coffee, blonde, as he puts it. And, yeah, he likes it blonde, and he puts in a pat of
like
butter.
His woman.
Oh, we both are. And he does put in the MCT oil.
Right. There you go.
He does. Yeah, and I was like so shocked that he did that. That was like, wow. I'm like, wow, babe, you're educated. That's awesome. I'm glad you're doing it. But I don't. I put in separate. I don't put in the butter, and I don't put in the oil because whenever I eat, I'm pretty good. I go. So I don't need coffee really. So I do it I usually have 1 cup, maybe 2 in the wintertime. And then I put coconut cream in it. That's my vice.
Okay. So you like it just like luscious, yummy. Got it.
Yep. Anyway. Okay. So now that we greased our mornings.
All good. All good stuff. So anyway, which is, I guess it's kind of an interesting segue because, you've had such an interesting story, your whole life story, your life journey, what you've been doing for your, entire adulthood pretty much. And now we'll talk about that in a minute, but then you've really moved into, yoga and nutrition, and I think aren't you doing some life coaching as well?
Yes, ma'am. So that's kind of fun. So all of this is a huge segue into everything we want to talk about. So we'll just go about it however you want to. So whatever's just natural. I feel like I go rogue into everything that I do, and I have. We all have transitions in life, and I think that's what people fear. And I like to face fear, and I work well in chaos. And, you being married to entertainment and me being in entertainment, you understand what I'm saying, a chaotic lifestyle. And
yes.
So, yeah, you got to learn to adapt quickly. You need to educate yourself on how you're going to react to situations that are not always going to go your way. So when you make decisions and you're going into transitions, which are very scary and it's very fearful, it's frightening. I have found what really has worked with me is that I just do it. Even though I'm scared shitless or I'm just don't know what the outcome is going to be, I have some sort of plan, and I just do it. But I make sure that if it's unethical, immoral, or illegal, I'll make sure that I won't do it. However, I love to push the envelope, and that's been my motto. That's me. That's what I'm known for, pushing that envelope. And sometimes I never knew what some of the outcomes were going to be in life. And I thought they would go one way, but they absolutely went the other. And if they didn't go that way, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Yeah.
So, every heartbreak, every decision that I've made, I think the biggest transition is right now, Lord. You know, that's a Midwestern thing. I've always abbreviated names, and I apologize if I...
No, that's good. I like it.
Okay.
It's all good.
All right.
I'm Laura,
right.
You're Deb. We're cool.
Lord. Hey, Lord, what's up? So, it kind of reminds me of a horror flick movie. Anyway.
Okay.
No, I'll get into that later.
Okay.
So, no, a good one.
Okay.
So,
Curious.
yeah. So, I think I think my choices in life really came from my childhood. And I bet you're wondering, like, what, how, why does that make sense? It does.
Mm-hmm.
Because between 0 and 3 is when we develop a lot of our personalities as a child. And then from 3 on up is a lot of, I'm watching you, so I'm going to do. And it becomes this, you know, this input in a human's brain. And I don't know how or why some of the things that I chose to do or didn't do based on my childhood upbringing. You know, a lot of people feel that, you know, just because you've had a bad childhood that, you know, that you've always are overcoming adversities, or there's this great Rocky story and whatnot. But a lot of times there isn't. I'm going to say 70%, a lot of people can't pull out of things, and it's unfortunate. And that's why a lot of people like yourself or me and your husband and other people in our fields are, you know, it's kind of this shift in life where we're reaching out and helping people, touching people, advocating for this, advocating for that, stigmas against mental abuse, physical abuse, just all sorts of abuse, mental abuse. And so from the childhood, I had quite a different environment. Never knew who my father was. Didn't have any brothers or sisters. I had a mother that shouldn't have been a mother, but I love her. She's my mother, my biological mother. I take care of her. And so that really positioned me for my next step in life, the transition. Mm-hmm. So from childhood to teenage, I went rogue.
Yeah. You know? So what do you think? Like, what was your first, which I love. That's why I knew you'd be just a perfect guest, because we, you know, our philosophy is so much about you gotta shift to evolve in your life, and shifting oftentimes requires really going rogue. So I knew that you were going to be such a great example of this. So what do you think was tell us what your first big going rogue, you know, transition or shift was?
It was when I vaguely remember as a child that when I was being home, left alone for days, or when the first day of school, of kindergarten, and I was walking out to the bus stop with myself, and everyone else had parents, I knew right then and there needed to be change. And I told myself, and I'll never forget this, Lore, going out there to that bus stop and all the children looking at me, and, you know, I have this big patch on, you know, when we were younger, it was like the bunny on there with my name, and I had to look for the bunny bus to get on the correct bus or whatever it was.
Right.
And I'm standing there by myself wondering, well, what the hell is this bunny bus? You know, I have no one to direct me. I'll just kind of follow all these kids, you know?
Yeah.
And so I knew right then and there that this is not the environment I wanted. I remember I came home that day after kindergarten, and my mother never drank. She never took drugs. She never, you know, nothing like that. Mm-hmm. Just very different. And I came home that day, I'll never forget this, and I basically said to her, why weren't you there? This is awful. You need to do more for me or something. I'm like, where did this all come from? I'll never forget. It was some type of verbiage like that. I have no idea. I don't want to make shit up or anything, but I knew it was some type of that degree, because she chased me around the house and told me never to mold her. Never mold her again. Yeah. And I was just a young kid, and I'll never forget that. And then there it was rebellious. It was so rebellious. I was rebellious in everything I did, and I tried to find. And then I knew it was going into the next big transition, as I remember it, into a teenager, that I said, I'm not going to live here. I don't want to be my mother. I am not going to be. If I needed to change as a child, because I never had a huge mentor, a person to show me this is the right way or this is what you need to do. Mm-hmm. I just knew I needed to get out of that environment, so I did. And when I turned 14, that was the biggest move I did. I lied about my age. I got my first job, which was at Arby's, for $1.70 an hour, whatever it was.
Wow.
Yeah. And as soon as I turned 15, I got my license back then. It was a permit thing.
Yeah.
And I got my license, and I was going to school. I quit school at 16. I think it was 16. And I got my GED.
Well, we have that in common, actually, Deb. Because I quit in my senior year, right after the first quarter of my senior year, and I quit. All I wanted to do was work, and I got my GED.
Are you kidding me? Oh my God! I just learned something about you, Laura. That's awesome. No, anyway.
Yeah. So continue.
So as I did that, I found that, oh my God, this is great out here in the business world, and something clicked. It's like I became a little entrepreneur then. However, just to back up real quick, my mother wasn't really lethargic. My mother is just different.
I'm trying to understand. So can I ask a quick question before you move on? Just so I can make sense of this in my head. I mean, you said your mom, it's not like she was abusive or was an addict or any of that kind of thing, but was she just a really young mom, or she just was?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was a woman that should have never had a child.
Okay.
And there's so many things in there that are just wrenching, that are just unbelievable, that really made me who I was.
Sure.
And I believe, I don't want to say it on air, but I'll tell you after on air. But anyway.
Okay.
So go back. Where was I? Teenage. Okay.
So you got your job.
I was an entrepreneur. I knew that was kicking. And the reason why I knew I was an entrepreneur is because my mother, bless her soul, we were on welfare. We were on food stamps. We were on, oh my God, it was horrible. So when I went to that bus stop and my clothes didn't match, and, later on I had boys waiting for me. They were beating me up every day after the bus stop, and that changed the whole trajectory of my whole life. It kind of apropos to what I've ended up doing in my life.
Yeah, so, if you're going to be beat up, you might as well get paid for it.
Exactly. So when I was younger, because we're all on welfare, I was sick of getting beat up. I was sick of people teasing me. I was like, what the hell? I need to change this. So what did I do? I went out and I started mowing lawns for 50 cents. And then I started in the wintertime, coming from Minnesota. I would shovel driveways for $1. I saved up money for me to buy food for the house. And that's when it basically all started. And and then I went into the teenage, and I told you about that, getting my first job. And then after that, I just applied myself before I quit school and everything. I was just the biggest jock. I was in gymnast. I was in track and field, and I was, I was such a tomboy, and I was just, into dirt bikes and everything, and it kind of rolled into later what I did again. So everything, it was, as we're talking about transition, that's why I say it's so important at a young age. And the development of the environment of the child is so important. And I cannot stress enough. People say, well, you need to do this. You need to put them in all of this. You need to do that. You can do all of that. But you got to watch your environment, your surroundings. You can't control everything. But if it wasn't for my environment, and of course times change, we didn't have everything we have now like we did back then. And so, you know, maybe there were things that we needed to think about to do things harder, try to go faster, and where things are easier to get to do faster things now. But,
well, you know what? But I think what's interesting there, though, is, you know, if 20 people could have had the exact same circumstances that you did, and maybe 19 of them would have not been able to rise above it, rise to the challenge, take control and make it work for them. You know what I mean? So there's something in you, even, you know, being 5 years old at the bus stop, you had a profound awareness that said, hey, you know what, this freaking sucks. This has got to change. This isn't right. You know, so there was something just in you. And I think it's just important for people to know that most people that have somehow attained some measure of what success means for them in their life, most of those people have had some sort of adversity in their life. It's like the 1% of the population that actually has had stuff handed to them. Everybody else has been working their ass off, you know, for their idea of happiness and success. And most of those people have had some version or form of, you know, hardship or unfavorable circumstances or whatever. So it's really, you really have to have some self-awareness and cultivate that drive within yourself to use it as fuel and not to be, you know, held back because of it and stuck because of it.
You're absolutely. Hardships do fuel everything for, I believe, most people, because they sure in the hell don't want to feel like that again. And since my childhood was such a profound moment, it actually molded my life, and good, bad, or indifferent, which is in my biography, which I've been, writing for 25 years. It is coming out sometime here soon, though. Let me tell you, it's an amazing childhood look back. I'll tell you later too. But anyway, so it's amazing. So with that going forward, I met. I think the next biggest pivotal point. I ran into a girlfriend of mine, and she was dating this guy who was a Hollywood stunt coordinator, and he performed all of these stunts with top people like his name is Kai Michelson. He's from Minnesota, and he did stunts for Dar Robinson and Burt Reynolds, and a lot of them, he did a lot of them for Burt Reynolds, Dar did, which Kai's the one that programmed all of that. Ellis Edwards, you know him. He's a big friend of ours. He knows he knows Kai very well. Well, anyway, this is how I met Kai before I met any of you guys. I met Kai's girlfriend, which was my girlfriend Jenny, at some bar. It was at a bar. It was Lake Minnetonka at some beach bar. I can't think of the place, and she was dating this guy, typical Jenny guy, 20 years older, hot, whatever, I'm like, okay, that's Jen. And so she introduced me to this guy, and he just kept bugging me. You need to be in the entertainment business. And I'm like, what a creep. Your girl's sitting right there. You're trying to hit on me. My attitude. Bug off, dude. So it ain't happening. So, finally he did. And this is when it happened, where he introduced me to a local promoter in Minnesota. And he said I should be in entertainment. And I thought, well, great. I can be a stunt woman. I can be like, Kitty. Kitty is, oh, God dang. Kitty just passed away, too. She was the fastest woman in a jet fuel car. And he did a lot of her Guinness World Book of Records in her car in the desert. And so that's just what kind of guy he is when he touches somebody. It's like they become amazingly... they do well for themselves. So not only do we do for Dar and Bert and Kitty and then myself. And so he said, no, I mean pro wrestling. And then I thought, are you kidding me? No way. I'm not going to sit there and do that, spit and scream, sweaty people. No. So I did it. And then that was the next pivotal thing. And then my life changed and I dove right into it. However, prior to that, I was just putting myself through nursing school, thinking, hey, I got this nice car, a nice apartment, and put myself to school. I got out of the ghetto.
Yeah.
I'm feeling
the ghetto.
Good. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, I lived in the ghetto.
The ghettos of Minnesota.
Yeah.
You just don't usually hear those two, things tied together. But
oh, well, believe me, they existed in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So, and we were on welfare and stuff. So, not everybody on welfare lived in ghetto, but anyway. So we, let's see, where was I? Oh, okay. So
wrestling.
Yeah. So the wrestling happened. That was the next big pivotal change, and I jumped into it. And I was nursing before then, and I just said, he brought me to one of these, independent shows, and brought me to Brad Rangings, and I just like, oh my God, I can do this. Yeah. And all of a sudden, before you know it, I quit my nursing, and there I was. And then 18 years of wrestling. We won't get into all that. We know how that went. And let me tell you, there was a lot of trials and errors in that. A lot of transitions, a lot of ups and downs. And and then the next big pivotal was the monster trucks. So, I mean, that was crazy. That was almost like a great marriage, and one of my better ones. But anyway, so it was like really awesome because I'm a gearhead, riding Harleys and, four-wheelers and dirt bikes, whatever.
Sure.
So I jumped all in. I never drove a damn monster truck before. What the hell? Who does that?
Yeah, is just, it's so crazy. I mean, and really, you're going rogue moments. I mean, it's, I'm looking for a word. I can't even find, because they're pretty like freaking massive. I mean, from nursing to professional wrestler. And then, that was probably like the biggest gigantic, leap right there. And then from, wrestling into monster truck driver. I mean,
yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, it's been, let me tell you, I don't regret anything. There's a few things I probably would have liked to have done different, sure, but I don't regret anything. I met some amazing people, and and a lot of the good ones have stayed in my life. We've had differences, we've had whatever, but even though you may not talk to them sometimes for a couple of years, they come back in your life, and it's for a reason. My whole thing when I started my life coaching, I use this terminology that it's a full circle, because our life is a full circle. And I kind of use the analogy is when we start, we're babies, we grow, our parents take care of us, we go through life, we come back, our kids take care of us, and we die. And it's a full circle. And I mean that very respectfully, of course.
Sure.
And yeah, and I am in the biggest transitional, I feel, right now, Lore, of my life. So when you said we were going to talk about this is what I was gearing for, is this moment right here to tell you that when I turned 55, I was like, oh my gosh, this last year and a half has been one of the craziest years that I could remember. Now, I've been through a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes. I mean, I would love to tell you some of the stuff, but I'm saving it for something. But I'm going to tell you, just mark this, that this last year and a half was. I mean, no. I mean, you can keep it on the radio or on the gimmick, whatever. But the last year and a half changed my life. And
I'm so intrigued because, given all the stuff that you've just shared and what you've done, to have something that is like even larger in a way or more extreme than that, you have my curiosity totally piqued.
Well, when I just turned 55. And so I just retired from monster trucks. So here is a 55-year-old woman driving monster trucks. I just retired. Okay, who's doing that? Nobody. All right.
Right.
And I look back at all these things that I've done. Could I still do it? Yeah, I probably could hop into another one. Yep. Could I wrestle? Yeah. There's that full circle of life. I started wrestling in 1983 or 84, and I just had my last wrestling match with WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, now there's my full circle. That's completed.
Mm-hmm.
My next full circle is with the monster trucks. I raced for 18 years, and there's a new organization that has started that I will be affiliated with, but I can't tell you much more. That I'll probably fulfill that too, and that'll become a full circle.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, and thirdly, becoming 55, I feel like I've a woman of age. That's how I call it. I don't know what anyone else calls it, because I think age is, it's just a number. It's how you feel and what you can do with yourself and your body and how you handle yourself. Or even though all the younger, let's just say talent or people may call us irrelevant or not relevant or whatever in this business.
Yeah, who cares? Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. But, those are things. That's what I'm saying. Those are things that you have to, when you're still in the business, this change of life at 55, I have never in my life felt so comfortable within my own skin and accepting who I am as a woman and being who I am at 55 and being able to share and explain myself and stories of all the things and adversities that I've done, and let people know that do preach the irrelevancy, that they're going to be this age someday. And the ones that do call us that, I say to them that I'm lucky that you can call me that, because you may not reach it to 55. So be careful what you say. You can learn a lot from us, basically. Mm-hmm. And it's not a dig, it's the truth. And so it's just called respect. So this next big transition in my life, I have found that how do you do it? How do you accept it? What do you do? Well, do you get a regular job? Do you do this? Do you venture off in that? Am I going to be a cooking star? Am I going to be a yoga instructor? Am I going to da-da-da-da? Mm-hmm. So, there's a lot of things that come in your head when you've been out in the public for 36 years.
Yeah.
So, and this is another big transition of my life, finding acceptance within yourself and being okay with it and not having to have other people's acceptance to say it's okay.
I feel you. Yeah. I know exactly. Yeah. I felt every year that, goes by, I have felt more and more and more of exactly what you're just describing. I remember on the day, on my 50th, I think it was my 50th birthday. And Eric says to me, how do you feel? And even at that time, I said, I was so excited. I was just so excited because I felt like more fierce than I've ever felt in my life. Every year that goes by, I feel more fierce because of the things you just said. I feel more just comfortable being exactly who I am and who I want to be without feeling like I have to have somebody's approval or I have to edit myself or, like I have to make sure that I create a certain perception. I'm not so concerned about that as you are, when you're younger, and I don't care about that stuff. What I care about now more than anything is not making sure that other people feel good about me. Now I care about just me feeling good all the time. And that's my barometer. How do I feel? And I feel best when I'm just being the person that I organically am and have grown to be through my own experiences and knowing what I want now and what I don't want, what I'm not willing to tolerate.
Did you find yourself, did you have to, did you have to find yourself shifting into a different category almost? Like, okay, so I still work and I still work with the 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds with WWE, going to the facility, doing this on social media. So it's very hard when you're still involved with that platform, I guess. Okay. So it's not that finding yourself that you have to compete with them. That's where you have to learn to separate yourself. But you feel that, So I've learned that I need to shift myself into a whole new platform of people that I start following to get followers back, meaning of my realm, my age, my platform. So when a year ago, I was starting to look at my damn social media and I'm thinking, well, hell, all of this is just 30, 40-year-olds almost. Right. And I'm thinking, well, there's a lot of this with my business and there's other people on there, but the demographics were still young. I have a young personality. I can hang in a room of politicians would need be, or else I can just drop the F-bomb whenever I need to. I get it. Right. I know when to turn it on and off. However, for me to shift into this new life, I'm calling it like this new life, like you said, when you turned 50, it was like, whoa! Exactly. And it was just like, it's like at every decade, like at 20, I was like, woo, I'm vibrant, I'm sexy, I got to get a boyfriend. And at 30s, I'm like, gosh, do I get married? I need to have a baby. And at 40, I'm like, oh, shit, my mother was right. I lost my eyesight. Where's my fucking readers? And then at 50, I was like, damn it, 50, what's going on? I got gray hairs where? Oh, my God, I still... the shit's saying, shit's going south, or, things are happening. Right. So I think it's called self-love and accepting who you are. And right. Right. I think
like your priorities change a little bit.
They do, don't they? And that's a good point. That's a good point, Lord. I think it's okay to let people know that your priorities need to change with you as you change with your life. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to have the same. Okay, I hate to say this because I know you and I just went through this, but we're not going to have the same animals. We're going to have new ones, and we have to learn how to shift. And it's hard as hell. It's like, God, my heart was just ripped out because I just lost my 2 dogs, a year ago. Yeah. And it's just, or someone goes through a bad marriage, or we lose a friend, and that whole shift fucks you up, man. Let me tell you. Anyway, I just threw that in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and to that point, I do want to come back around and talk about that a little bit because there's some pretty interesting stuff there too. But I agree. I just think that there's seasons, we go through seasons. And for me, you use the reference of full circle. And what the reference that I always use is, I don't have as a succinct way of putting it, but I look at things like our life, not linear, but I look at it because most people look at life as linear. So a beginning, you're born, the whole middle part, and then the end when you die. And so it's a very linear way of perceiving the life experience. I look at it as like a funnel cloud. So where you go, you're going in, there's a full circle thing, but you're spiraling up and the spiral gets wider as it goes up. So to me, it signifies, I think of it that way because I feel like as the spiral is going up, you're growing. It represents growth to me. And as the spiral, the diameter is getting wider, like if you picture a funnel cloud or a funnel, it gets wider as as it goes up. And to me, that symbolizes your expansion, as a human being. So I feel like that's why I feel so awesome. Every year that goes by, I don't look at it as nearing an end point, like on the linear line. I look at it as another circle of growth and another expansion of that circle, because now I'm that much more, experienced. I'm that much wiser. I've grown that much more. I know that much more. I become more of a master of myself as the funnel keeps expanding. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I use that analogy with my clients. I use the Lifeline, and that's kind of like a heartbeat when you see it on the transmitter.
Mm-hmm.
And I use it as your heartbeat goes, all the way across, and all of a sudden, when you're dead, it flatlines. Okay, I get that. However, we're going to have all of that. And those are the points where I said that's where we're growing. That's where we're coming down. We're growing, and you find out your medium. So, so different analogies, but yet the same. Absolutely. Everyone has their ways of explaining it. But I think it's a beautiful part. I just don't want to think, when I say full circle, our life does come around full circle. And when I was explaining about my transitions in a way that it, I first started explaining it as, yes, we're born, our parents take care of us, we go through life, boom, and doom, finally our kids take care of us, we die. No, that's the whole full circle. But inside, it's kind of like the Lifeline. So even though we keep doing these full circles within our big circle, and those are our transition periods, those are our like our heart rate moving up and down. And so with the first transition to the second transition to this transition, where I'm at now is, through my whole life, I've always kept myself active. I knew somehow that, this business that I chose was something I wanted to do because I'm an entertainer. But I knew in life that nothing is forever. And how I knew that, it was embedded in me as a child. And not that someone told me that, I just saw. I learned at those pivotal moments as a child that I saw with life, human beings, that nothing is forever. So I knew I needed to take action on every freaking thing that I did and jump into it like there was no tomorrow, going into it rogue in every freaking situation like I'm this crazy freaking lady, cat lady or something, and just crazy lady, and just, and did everything I could without hurting somebody or stepping on their toes. Just look the frick out, man, because I am here to accomplish. And that's what I do in everything that I I'm strung out, Lore. You seem a little more calm, and you'd probably be good for me to hang around, because I'm just like a strung out individual sometimes. But
we'll have a little yin yang session here.
Yeah, let me tell you. And but I love it. That's me. That's how I operate. When I have a day, and it's like a very slow day. Let's just call it a slow day, or just a very nice, quiet day. Those days, I find myself freaking out sometimes. I used to. I'm learning how to do it better.
Yeah.
And I'm here with my clients, talking to them and trying to, educate this part. And I get off the phone and I'm biting the bit myself,
But I think that's where it's boring to talk about, because people hear it crammed down their throats all the time. But that's where, again, it's so important just to have a little bit of balance. I mean, I like to go 100 miles an hour all day, every day. And I ramp up. And then I catch myself going, wait a sec. I'm just like, I can feel it when I'm out of balance. And then I need a day, or I need to make sure I have days periodically on a regular basis, though, where I have nothing on my calendar. I have nothing scheduled, so that I can just be still and process and not have, all of the craziness going on. And then, and I make sure that even if I have these busy, crazy days, that I have moments, in the day, whether it's when I first get up in the morning or for sure when I go to bed at night. And even if I have to just in the middle of the day, if I only have time for, 3 minutes to just sit, close my eyes, breathe, do a quick little meditation just to make sure I'm not, just spinning wildly. Otherwise, I can do that. I can just be bouncing off of this wall and that wall, like a pinball, if I'm not careful.
No, yeah, I get you. I do. I do mine differently. I wake up in the morning, and the first thing I got to do is I wake up, I stretch. The dogs usually look at my face by then, but I stretch. And when I get out of bed, the first thing I do, and I've done it since day one, is I make my bed. Now, you can call me freaking weird, but even when I wake up in a hotel, I make the hotel bed. That's so weird because I just feel like, I know.
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
I'm a bed maker too.
I make the hotel bed just because it makes me feel organized and it sets my day.
Yes.
And I've been that way. It's a day one. And it's like, if my bed, now there's been days where something has happened. I got up and it's like everything was chaotic. And I turn around, I'm like, no wonder why my bed wasn't made.
Yep. Know? Yes, I get it. I'm the same way.
I take moments, but
yeah. I have to have that. That's part of my environment's got to be organized, and that is making the bed sets the tone for the day. So even if I don't do it immediately, I might go get my nice fat coffee first, but I do come back, and before I really get too much into my day, I got to have the bed made, and that does it. Makes me feel organized. It sets the tone for the day. I just think that I really subscribe to that notion for the most part. The saying, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah.
I love that. And so when I'm going to do a task, whether it's making sure that my, bedroom is organized and put together, or, whether it's whatever it is I'm doing, it's just, I really strive to do everything, even the smallest task, at a high standard. So it's done well and it's done right.
Being said, so then I'm making a new resolution. Not that it has to be just for every new year. There's a resolution thing here because it's, because it is New Year's Eve, maybe, huh? But so
yeah, there you go, right on time.
So I'm saying to myself, I think my husband needs to have sex every morning before I make the bed. I think that's going to benefit us both. So,
yeah, make sure you have the priorities organized in such a way that you don't have to make the bed twice.
Well, maybe we could have sex twice. I don't know. Whatever.
Okay, so that is all the time we have today. So you're going to definitely want to join us next week for part 2 of our interview with Madusa. If you enjoy We're Talking Shift, please go on over to iTunes, subscribe, give us a rating, and leave us some comments. We love to read what you have to say. You can also listen by going to patreon.com/Talkin' Shift, and that's where you will also find out more about the Give a Buck movement. You're going to want to check that out. You can find us, of course, all over social media. We're Talking Shift Podcast is on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and, of course, we'retalkingshift.com. So go out, make some shift happen, and, you too, Gary V.
The following podcast is a TJ DeSantis production. Comments, questions, and inquiries can be sent to DeSantisProd@gmail.com.